Hey guys, what's up? Itchla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides Witchla. And today I'm in here at a reasonable time, but I really could have been in here sooner. I don't know, I'm just feeling pretty tired today. I think I got enough sleep, but it wasn't really good sleep. My wisdom teeth have really been acting up recently. And so, yeah, I mean it's getting pretty bad. Um just because in the past year the amount that it's gotten worse, and especially the past couple months, has been extremely noticeable. You know, it's like it's much worse than it once was at one point. Um Another thing, no, first let me finish that let me finish what I'm talking about first. Yeah, so it's pretty frustrating. Um because yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never wanted to get them taken out. I always wanted to just have them in. And I know it's something you're kind of supposed to do, but I was hoping it would work out. But for the past few months, I think it's been a lot of pain. And I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, flossing, brushing, um, washing water bottles, but nothing's really helping. I know I was supposed to try salt water, so I should probably start doing that. See if that helps. But, if none of that helps, then obviously the pain could just be from the teeth and the bones kind of coming in, which is a much more serious concern. So, my dream may have to, like, I don't know, I may have to actually look into getting them taken out, which I know it's expensive, but actually, from from what I looked into, I don't believe that it's like that expensive. I think it's more of the just the whole situation that you have to go through, the amount of like pain and maybe even the length that it takes and all that. I mean, if I had to guess, that's really the most of the problem. Like I don't know, for me, and then for me it's really just the loss of the wisdom teeth. I just really wish I could have them, but it's like only one has actually came in properly, I think. So, people probably have it worse. There's probably people that have it worse, but it's just not a good situation. I don't know. It just isn't. I was really hoping it would be better. So, it's another thing I got to think about, and I'm really trying to, like, I really need some kind of a breather or a breaker and things. And it's just not really what I want to have to be thinking about. But what I was getting to is it definitely affected my sleep, because it's like an on and off headache. And it's basically, it's not super bad, but then like throughout the night it would be better, then it would be horrible, then it would be better again. Then like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something that's very consistent. So, it is what it is. Anyways. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating, and I hope that it all works out in the end. I wish I had more time to think it over and decide. Like another year at least. I just wish I could just get through 2026. Like I just hope it stops and I can just get through this year at least. But anyways, yeah, so my sleep, like I slept the right amount of time that I want to hit, 7.5 hours, but it was not, I think it was probably a worse quality than the previous nights. So, because I did, and it was kind of weird because, last night I felt pretty weak and tired before bed. And that's not really like normal. Like it wasn't that way for the past few days. And so that was a little bit concerning. Like actually, like I was literally so like physically tired and I didn't even do anything that day. You know what I mean? Like I didn't do any type of labor. Um so that's kind of like not, yeah, I don't know. Like it's not too good. Yeah, like it's just I don't know. So, yeah, that's like how I was feeling last night. So it's not too crazy of a surprise that like even this morning. But like I said, I'm fairly well rested because I got the length and like I got the 7.5. I just I don't think I really got other the other things going on. So like the actual stages and the quality. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to mention is that there is this problem with my recordings, and I don't know how many are affected or not, but there's like a crackling that goes on. So some of these recordings are tarnished, and I don't. I mean, it could be fairly frequent, which is what I'm like really upset about. I don't know what I have to get. I think I need to get a new microphone, honestly, the Rode 8 HS2 or whatever. But I wanted to get a better one. I wanted to get I wanted to get a better microphone, but it's like another thing I've been putting off and I have to look into more. So, that whole situation is also very frustrating. But yeah, it's like a Crackle issue, so I really have to look into that. Really gonna have to look into that because I don't I can't keep having like already all these recordings like, and again, I don't know how many are affected, but it seems like it could be kind of a lot. And that kind of stuff, like I'm more sensitive to it than other people. Like if I'm going to be recording, like I really want it to be like a good quality. And I think that something with this connector just doesn't work well. I don't know if it's the mic I had or just the nature of how weak it securely clunks in. I always notice that about this mic. Um, but yeah, I can't really tell. I think with the other app I used to record, I could tell a little bit better. But on this one, I really can't tell. So you know, but I really wanted to get the better mic, the one that has like a stronger noise rejection and all. That's really what I was curious to look into. Um, and so I hope to. I'll probably start looking into that. But it's again, it's sadly something where it's like I just don't think I have the mental strength to do anything about it right now. There's just so many other things on my plate, and to be fair, like I'm in a fragile state. Like I'm not saying I shouldn't be able to do these things because I should, but I'm not in a manic state, and then I'm not, like, I'm in like a weak, I'm still kind of in a weak state. If anything, like, I don't know if we bottomed out or not. I kind of feel like we might have bottomed out, and I'm doing a little bit better than I was like a little while ago, but I don't know. But yeah, sorry, I like kind of lost. I started thinking about other stuff. Yeah, so it's, there's really no excuse, but I'm just not, like, I just want to shut off. I really, and I get like that. There's periods in my life where even when I was doing like nothing, trying to remember when this would have been, because maybe there's some kind of a correlation. Like when I was 16 and I had like no responsibilities, I had no, I mean, things were like way, way, way easier back then. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I want to say it was intermittent around when I was 16. I mean, it could have been 15 or 14. It could have been 17, but I think it was mostly 16 from my memory. I'm not sure though. And it would just be thoughts like really wishing that time could just pause and, you know, time would flow normally for me, but everybody else would be frozen. Like that's really what I was feeling like I needed. And what's crazy is back then, my life was so much easier than it is now. Like objectively, my life was just objectively much easier. Although you could start to get into like arguments about that where it's like I might have had like homework back then that I should have been doing or something. So maybe my life now, maybe it is easier because, like, at least now I'm getting paid and I kind of have a decent amount of money. So I have kind of like a lot of the stuff at my house that I like always wanted. Whereas, like, back when you're in school, it's like, I mean, I had like nothing, and but it was chill. It was more chill, but I guess it was less actualized, you know. So I'm not really sure how I'm gonna feel about that, but I do think it was easier. Like it should have been. I just think school, the old, like it gets to my head too much, like assignments and things like that. Like I just can't. I get way too in my head about everything, and yeah, I don't really know how else to come at that. What am I getting at? I don't know what I'm getting at. But yeah, I'm just drained, like I'm very drained. I think it's fortunate today I only have 2 large days to go into. Sorry, the guy just like merged out from behind me, but he had a BMW, so I assume it could have even been a higher trim one. I mean, it's too dark to see, but kind of sounded like the exhaust note was a little bit better than usual. But yeah, that it really is the best way to describe it. Like I'm just worn out. Very worn out from a lot, and I've really been looking for a break. And then sometimes, actually no, I was going to say there could be a problem with the mic placement, but it is shifting around quite a bit, but that's just because I'm wearing my coat, and so I have to sit like in a really uncomfortable position in order to avoid it being like that. I actually think I do have a solution. I could move the hood all the way down, and I actually maybe that would help, but I don't really have the time. Like I said, it's like I really just have not. That's where I'm saying I don't know if I've really bottomed out or not. I mean, there's obviously been ups and downs throughout the cycle, but I still think the trajectory has been a downward energy shift since that June. Not really June, really it was like May. I guess June too a little bit. Um and then probably July to some extent. But I mean, it's recorded. I honestly don't remember super clearly, but I have a feeling it would have been like around August or September that I started to just like be more on like a downward trajectory. Because for a while I was like, I wasn't sleeping as much. I was only sleeping 6 hours. I was only sleeping 5.5, but I was like muscling through it. You know what I'm talking about? Like I was muscling through it. I had something in my body that made me feel alive and energized. That thing is missing. That thing is no longer there inside of me. Like now it's just not there. But yeah, so there's a full week ahead. January's over. Today is February 2nd, I believe. Unless it's no, no, I'm correct. It's Monday, February 2nd. I do actually, I think that's pretty good. I usually have a grasp of what day it is. I talk to a lot of people who don't. I talk to a lot of people who like have no idea what day of the week or day it is, and I think that is a good sign that I'm usually, even if I'm off, it's usually only off by like a day or two. So, because it's kind of concerning when I hear people acting like that, like they don't know what day it is. But then again, I think we've talked about before, a lot of that stems from, why do we have part time work the way we have it? It's all kind of silly. Like you shouldn't have people with a million different variable schedules each week. Like there's no reason to have it that way. I'm sure for some occupations there's a reason, but it just doesn't make it. It's not a good, well organized like system at all. There's something deeply wrong with that, because I'm sure there's data to show that it's not healthy to just have like different time shifts. And I have a feeling it mostly has to do with laziness and poor managerial skills of whoever is doing the managing. Because, like, if I was running a business, for example, how I would do it, if I needed to have different people doing different times, what I would do is we would have a clear survey about it where everybody would say the times they want, and then I would try to cluster it around that as much as possible. I mean, obviously, if every single person working there chose the night, or every single person working there chose the morning, like I wouldn't be able to accommodate all that. You know what I'm like? No, I wouldn't be able to figure all that out. But yeah, it would be, sort of a compromise kind of thing where like I would try to aggregate it so that everybody would just have as close to as possible the schedule they wanted, and it would be consistent. And then maybe if somebody who was working there wanted to have a random schedule, I'd be accommodating of that. But like, I don't really know why somebody would, but maybe if somebody had another job or something, like this is how I would have like a business setup. And it's like, as far as I know, a lot of times it's like you're just handed out shifts, and then I don't even get, like, it's just crazy. It just seems like completely inefficient. You could just plug everything into an AI, have it perfectly make things as fair as possible, and then boom. Like, why are we still running businesses like this? Why are these managers should be stripped of their titles and fired? I think there's a lot of managers that deserve that wholeheartedly. Um, and it's kind of a shame I'm not in that kind of a position. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm grateful because my manager is like good. Like he's chill. He's very chill, and I could definitely have a much worse situation. So yeah, it's like, And yeah, I don't, it's again, the older I get, I notice more and more, I realize more and more about, and again, like I always want to preface it because it's like I'm really not trying to be like talking down or like I'm not trying to be like that, but it's just weird because like I notice that people's their comprehension of various things, it's different. Like it's I just don't really know how else to put it. Like it's just like a different, it's not really deep, and a lot of people they rarely get deep. Most of what they do is joking, and it's difficult. Like that's not something that's easy to pull off for me. And it's just why like it's like I just don't understand people. I think people don't understand me. I think when I get overstimulated by too much nonsense, other people probably get overstimulated by me with too much deep stuff, you know? So it's just like it's fair. Like I don't know. I think I understand how people feel, I guess, when they talk to me, but I think also there's like an attention span thing where a lot of people, they wouldn't have like there are a lot of people without the attention span to really listen. And I think that happens, but like people don't admit it. Like I think there's probably been people where I'm talking to them and their attention span, like they can't listen because their attention span, but like they're not going to admit that, so they try to like brush it off, I guess. Because obviously, like, nobody would really want to say, like, you're talking too long, I can't follow it. Because that, like, no, like, people wouldn't want to do that. Um, so I think that's why I've been confused. But yeah, I mean, especially in this day and age, it's like there's a lot of people where, um, you can tell by the nature of the length of these conversations, it's just like there's a sizable segment of the population that just wouldn't really be able to sit through it. And it's a shame, it's strange to me, but like I said, I've just come to terms with the fact like this is like the world we're living in, and I have a certain interest or a certain joy or a certain pleasure in a way of speaking that is not super aligned with most people and how they would typically converse or talk. But truthfully, I actually think much of it has to do with like a lack of exposure. Like I think people, I don't, I don't really, I think people really do just get molded by like what they know and kind of what they see. And if what's coming up on their For You page or what's coming up on their YouTube is just a bunch of like silly joke nonsense, and then that's what they end up engaging with, you know, not really for any reason other than like that's just what they see, like they're just seeing that. Like they just see it, so they're engaging with it, and it's funny or it's entertaining. But they don't even know what, like I so many people, like they're, and you can tell based on how people talk, like a deep conversation, they're avoided, they, you know, because people can have differing opinions, and then that becomes a whole issue because, you know, if somebody has misinformation, then they're kind of insulted or upset, um, because they're wrong. And I've encountered that a lot too, where it's like something where it's like, you know, you can look it up, you can research it, you can vet it, verify it, and then somebody just has the wrong information, and somebody just has the wrong information, and if you go to correct them, it becomes like a huge problem, you know? And they get all upset, and it's just this whole like, what do you do in those circumstances? It ends up not being productive. So that's why I never really realized or thought about it before, but this format of this format is good for me, like, and I never really thought about it like that before, but just getting something recorded that, you know, can be paused. It's so interesting because at first I was rigid, and there's truth to what I'm saying, but at first I was rigid about a private call with a person being like the highest form. It's a dedicated one-on-one set of attention, and yeah, like it's, you know, it's a one-on-one attention. Like that's like a big deal. It's a bigger deal than just sitting in a group call with like a million different people, and it's just like all noisy. Like for one person to give you dedicated time, that is it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. So, and it's higher. It's definitely higher than other forms. Now, I don't know if everybody sees it that way, because some people might prefer group calls, but for me, I think there's a distinction between that as a preference versus, you know, what is actually more special, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know, I still feel like it's empirically more special for somebody to give you one-on-one time versus a group call, even if I'm sure certain perspectives, like in someone's opinion, they may disagree with that because for them, they may just have so much more fun in a group call that they would disagree with that. But like, that's not really the like point. Like I'm saying, like I really feel like empirically it is one-on-one time that's the most special. But here's the thing, it quickly becomes this thing where it's like, it's not really as special as you would think, right? Like it quickly becomes that. because now when it's like, okay, you're on call with them, but they're just playing a video game while they're talking to you. They're just doing something else while they're talking to you. Like, now it's not really that special. You see what I'm saying? And that's basically always what happens. It's extremely rare that you can just get somebody to sit still, you know? It's exceedingly rare. And yeah, so then it gets to the point where the format that I was resisting, because I didn't like the idea of, like, you just listen to someone through YouTube. Like, it's dead, it's inanimate, it's not like a living, present experience. Of course, like, you have live streams, but still, it's that whole thing about, like, you never actually know the person, the other person doesn't really know you, there's no real bond, it doesn't work, blah blah. Like, that's all true, but I'm realizing for my format and who I am as a person, it's actually like a more perfect medium for me, because it allows people to play and pause, and if the rant's getting to be too much for them, they can pause it if they want to come back to it later, and then there's no, like, hard feelings or anything, because usually, again, it's like very frustrating if in the present somebody isn't paying attention. But if it's a YouTube video, I don't even get to see that to the same degree as at all. It's not as, like, obvious. So it's just a format that makes a lot more sense for the type of things I talk about. And I was resisting it for a good reason. I was resisting it because I think that the nature of content makes us worse. It makes us treat each other worse. I never really did a dedicated video on it, but all the way back in June, probably, there's a Car Rides with Schla, June or July, talking about how, maybe even May, it's talking about how I wanted to do a video on this idea about how listening to content passively is changing the nature of how we respect those around us. It's changing the nature of how we respect those around us, because we get used to a voice being played but not having to listen to it, and having it as a passive. And then you're not actually listening to what the person is saying. So then you're really training your brain, or you're, like, really establishing such, like, this crystal clear pattern for your brain. So then when you're in a public conversation, it really changes things. Because now it's live, now it matters, now you have to be listening all the time, but you can't. But you're not. You know what I mean? Because your brain is so, like, on a subconscious level, it's so used to, like, hearing a person talk, but, like, just having it in your head and in your ears is like some passive event. Like, it's not something that you have to actively be a part of or actively be listening to. Like, it's something that's in the background. And even a lot of times now with podcasts, like there's that whole new phenomena where it's like, you don't really listen to everything the person says. You're not going to remember everything that they say. Um, so you're not going to remember everything that they say. So, it's just, a whole thing. And so, personally, I don't think that it's too good for the nature of how we interact with each other, because you get used to not needing to talk or pay attention to the other person. And that's already kind of a flaw with human, like even before all this, like that was a flaw we had. It was a flaw that we have imperfect attention, and that, sometimes somebody's talking to us and we lose interest and space out. And then you have like podcasts, which on its surface are an amazing thing, but then it just becomes like extra stimulatory dopamine. It doesn't actually become like a profound new thing for many people. I mean, it obviously depends on the person, but you know, for the most part. All right. Well, at least we made it. But it's a whole week ahead, and I really can't get through my head. I can't get through my head that it's Monday. Like I really, that's just not too good. All right. Well, it's been slaw, but now it's time to buy slaw. So, see you slaw.